It was a quiet evening in the city, the streets glimmering with the soft light of street lamps and the faint hum of traffic in the distance. Inside her small apartment, a young black girl sat alone, scrolling through her phone. She had been out for the day, running errands, when something had felt wrong. At first, she tried to shake it off, telling herself it was just her imagination. But as she walked back to her apartment, she noticed a man lingering too long nearby, watching her from across the street. That unease grew into fear, and when she finally stepped inside, locking the door behind her, she realized she needed help. She took a deep breath, trying to calm her racing heart. Her hands trembled as she typed out a quick message, a cry for help, and posted it to social media. It was short, simple, but full of urgency. She didn't know who would see it, but she hoped someone would notice. She pressed send and immediately felt a tiny spark of hope. Almost instantly, her post started gaining attention. People shared it, commented, and tagged anyone they thought could help. But she was scared, unsure if anyone powerful enough to respond would actually see it. Meanwhile, Dwayne Johnson, known to the world as The Rock, was finishing a meeting for a charity event he was attending later that week. He often scrolled through social media to catch up on trends, funny videos, and news, a habit he had developed to stay connected with his fans. Amid the usual content, a particular post caught his eye. A young girl had posted an SOS signal, describing that she felt unsafe and needed immediate help. Something in the way it was written made him pause. It was not the usual vague cry for attention he sometimes saw online. It was real, raw, and desperate. At the same time, Cena was wrapping up a workout at his home gym. He had been training for an upcoming film role, but even during intense sessions, he kept one eye on social media updates. He scrolled past posts about sports, movies, and memes until a shared post grabbed his attention. It was the same SOS message that The Rock had seen. Cena's heart sank as he read the words. Something inside him told him that ignoring this would not be right. It was clear that the girl needed help immediately, and he couldn't just scroll past. Both men, though in different locations, had the same thought. They needed to act fast. They didn't know each other's plans yet, but instinctively they understood that sometimes fame came with responsibility. This was one of those moments. The Rock reached out to a trusted local friend who worked with authorities, sending the post along with her location details. He explained the urgency and asked for a quick verification. Cena, on the other hand, contacted a digital security expert he trusted, someone who could trace the post and ensure the location was accurate. They both acted without hesitation, knowing that every second counted. The girl, unaware that two of the world's biggest celebrities were already aware of her SOS, paced nervously in her small living room. The shadows on the walls seemed to stretch and twist, mirroring the fear in her mind. She clutched her phone tightly, refreshing her notifications constantly, hoping someone would reach out. Minutes felt like hours, and the sound of a distant siren only heightened her anxiety. She had learned to rely on herself for so long, but tonight was different. Tonight she needed help, and she had finally asked for it. Back in the city, The Rock and Cena had started coordinating their efforts. Through a brief phone conversation, they realized they were both tracking the same SOS signal. Their voices were calm but focused, each one fully aware of the stakes. They discussed the best way to approach the situation, agreeing to work with local authorities to ensure everything was handled safely. It was not about fame or recognition. It was about saving someone in real danger. As they drove toward the girl's location, the city lights blurred past, reflecting off the car windows. The Rock thought about how many calls for help go unnoticed every day, how many people suffer in silence because no one is watching. Cena, in his own vehicle, thought about the importance of quick response, of taking immediate action when someone's life could be at risk. Both men were thinking the same thing in different ways. This moment mattered, and they could not waste it. The girl, still unaware of the unfolding plan, tried to calm herself by taking deep breaths. She sat near the window, peeking out occasionally to see if anyone had arrived. The fear of the unknown was suffocating, but the small glimmer of hope from sending that SOS kept her going. She remembered stories of people helping strangers, acts of courage that seemed almost unreal until they happened. Perhaps tonight, she thought, her story would be one of those rare instances. The Rock arrived first near the neighborhood. He parked a few blocks away, assessing the surroundings. The area was quiet, almost too quiet, with only a few streetlights illuminating the cracked sidewalks. He stepped out of the car, his tall frame moving with purpose and confidence, but also with caution. Cena arrived moments later, and they exchanged a nod of acknowledgement. No words were needed. Both understood the gravity of the moment. Together they started approaching the apartment building, each step measured, careful but urgent. Inside her apartment, the girl heard a knock at the door. Her heart jumped and she froze. "Who is it?" she called softly, her voice trembling. The response was calm but authoritative. "We're here to help. You're safe now." She couldn't believe it. She rushed to the door, and as it opened, she saw them. Two towering figures she had admired from films and wrestling matches, standing there not for a photo or an autograph, but to help her. The reality of the situation hit her like a wave. She was being rescued by people she had only seen on screens. The Rock and Cena guided her to a safer part of the apartment, keeping an eye on the surroundings. They spoke in soft, reassuring tones, making sure she knew she was no longer alone. The fear in her eyes slowly began to fade as she realized that these men were genuinely there to help. They asked simple questions, enough to understand the situation without making her relive the fear she had just experienced. Their presence was calming, grounding her in a reality where safety was possible. Moments later, local authorities arrived, having been coordinated by the Rock and Cena during their drive. The police quickly secured the building and confirmed that the immediate danger had passed. The girl, still in shock but beginning to feel a sense of relief, thanked them repeatedly. The Rock and Cena assured her that she had done the right thing by reaching out, that asking for help was a sign of strength, not weakness. As they walked her to a safer location, the girl shared a little about herself, her love for movies, and how she had followed the careers of both The Rock and Cena for years. She had never imagined that the people she admired most would be the ones answering her call for help. Both men listened intently, not just as celebrities but as human beings who understood the importance of empathy, courage, and action. They offered words of encouragement, reminding her that bravery comes in many forms, and that she had just shown a remarkable amount of it. By the time she was fully in safe hands, with authorities and family aware of her situation, the girl felt a mix of exhaustion and relief. Her life, once filled with fear in those hours, was now moving toward safety and security. The Rock and Cena stood back for a moment, watching as she was comforted and surrounded by support. They knew their job was not just about the rescue itself, but about the reassurance, the knowledge that she was not alone, and that there were people willing to act when it mattered most. As they walked away from the apartment building, the two men shared a quiet moment of reflection. They didn't need to speak much. The weight of the evening and the relief of a successful intervention spoke louder than words. They both understood that this was one of those rare moments where influence, fame, and responsibility aligned perfectly. They had acted not for recognition, but because it was the right thing to do. And in doing so, they had made a real difference in someone's life. The girl, later that night, would look back on this experience not with fear, but with gratitude and a sense of awe. She had learned that even in the darkest moments, hope could arrive in unexpected forms, sometimes in the shape of familiar faces she had admired for years. For The Rock and Cena, this was a reminder of the profound impact small actions can have when guided by courage, empathy, and the willingness to step in when someone needs help most. It was a night that none of them would forget, a story of real human connection and heroism that went far beyond the spotlight or the cameras. The SOS that started as a simple message on a phone became a moment that would change lives, creating a ripple of hope, courage, and trust that extended far beyond that quiet evening in the city. After the initial rescue, the city slowly returned to its usual rhythm, but for The Rock and John Cena, the night was far from over. They knew that ensuring the girl's immediate safety was just the beginning. Both men understood that fear leaves deep marks, and a traumatic moment like this could affect someone for a long time. They wanted to make sure she felt supported, not just safe in the short term. They decided to stay nearby, keeping in contact with the authorities and family while checking in on her well-being. The girl, still overwhelmed, was slowly beginning to calm down. Her hands were no longer shaking as violently, and she could take deeper breaths without panic cutting them short. Seeing The Rock and Cena check on her brought a sense of comfort she had never experienced before. She realized that someone had actually listened to her SOS, that people who had the power and ability to help had chosen to act. The thought of this alone was transformative for her spirit. Meanwhile, The Rock and Cena were in constant discussion, making plans to ensure that the girl's environment remained secure. They reached out to local contacts, explaining the situation and emphasizing the importance of keeping her safe and anonymous until she was fully settled. Both men had a serious conversation about responsibility, the kind that goes beyond celebrity and touches on real-life consequences. They understood that their actions might inspire others, but more importantly, they wanted to make sure that the girl could rebuild her confidence without fear lingering over her every move. In the following hours, they arranged for a safe space where she could stay temporarily, away from the chaos of her neighborhood and any lingering danger. The authorities helped make the arrangements, ensuring it was discreet and secure. The girl was hesitant at first. She had never been away from home in such circumstances, but both men encouraged her, assuring her that it was temporary and for her protection. Their gentle guidance helped ease her doubts, and slowly she agreed to leave with the support team. During the ride to the safe location, the girl asked questions, mostly small ones about the lives of The Rock and Cena. Her curiosity was genuine, not starstruck, and the men answered patiently, making her laugh at small stories of their childhoods, their early struggles, and moments that had shaped them into the people they were. These conversations weren't just distractions, they were bridges, helping her understand that even people who seemed larger than life had faced challenges and fear, and that courage often comes in the quietest moments. At the temporary location, they introduced her to the support team, professionals trained to help people cope with stress, fear, and trauma. The team immediately noticed her apprehension, her reluctance to fully trust anyone. But the presence of The Rock and Cena seemed to give her the courage to speak, even if just a little. She told them about the day that had led to the SOS, the feeling of being watched, and the growing panic that had pushed her to reach out online. Her story was honest, raw, and at times almost too much to process. Yet the men listened without judgment, offering reassurance that what she experienced was real and that it wasn't her fault. The night stretched on, and slowly, a routine began to form. Cena helped her set up her phone with security measures so she could contact the authorities or support team instantly if needed. The Rock worked with her to organize a plan for the next day, thinking ahead about how to keep her surroundings safe. The girl was learning to regain control, and both men recognized that these steps, though small, were monumental in restoring her confidence. While they were doing this, news of the rescue started circulating online, quietly at first, then more widely. People shared stories about the heroism of two well-known figures who had responded to a genuine call for help. Yet both The Rock and Cena were careful not to let it become a spectacle. They were more concerned about the girl's privacy and safety than publicity. Their focus remained on her recovery, on the lessons that could be taught about listening, acting, and showing compassion. Throughout the night, the girl asked questions about how they had found her so quickly. Both men explained in simple terms how their networks, resources, and quick thinking had come together. They emphasized that while fame helped them act faster, the real power came from caring, from noticing the signs when someone is in trouble, and from not hesitating to help. She absorbed this information carefully, a mixture of awe and inspiration in her eyes. It was a lesson in courage, not the kind seen in movies, but the kind that manifests when ordinary actions intersect with urgent needs. As the first light of morning crept into the temporary location, the girl's fear had diminished significantly. She was still cautious, still aware that the world could be unpredictable, but she felt empowered. She had survived, and she had been supported by people who had shown true humanity. The Rock and Cena watched her, proud but humbled. They knew the impact of their actions could ripple far beyond this single night. Sometimes a single act of courage can inspire countless others to act with empathy and care. After breakfast, they spent time discussing the next steps. The girl needed to return to a more permanent home, but only after proper security measures and support were in place. Both men helped organize this, contacting local organizations that could provide ongoing assistance. They also shared guidance with her family, explaining how they could create a safe environment, how to notice warning signs, and how to ensure she felt secure at all times. It was careful, thoughtful planning designed to create lasting change, not just a temporary fix. Through these discussions, the girl began to regain her voice. She spoke about her dreams, the things she wanted to do without fear holding her back. The Rock and Cena encouraged her to pursue them, reminding her that courage is not the absence of fear, but the willingness to act in spite of it. They wanted her to understand that her life was not defined by the frightening experience she had endured, but by the strength she had shown and the steps she was taking to move forward. By mid-morning, it was clear that the girl's confidence was returning. The temporary location had become a place of healing and reflection. The men had not just rescued her physically, they had provided emotional support, guidance, and mentorship in a time of crisis. The girl realized she was not alone in facing the world, that there were people who cared enough to act, and that she had the power to protect herself and seek help when needed. In the afternoon, they organized a small, private session with mental health professionals to help the girl process the events of the previous day. The Rock and Cena observed quietly, letting the experts guide the conversation while providing gentle support from the sidelines. The girl opened up about her fears, the isolation she felt, and the anxiety that had built up over time. She spoke freely, knowing that she was in a safe environment with people who genuinely wanted to help her heal. The men reinforced her feelings, assuring her that acknowledging fear is not weakness but the first step in overcoming it. By evening, there was a noticeable change. The girl was smiling more, speaking with more confidence, and beginning to think about her future instead of just surviving the present. The Rock and Cena sat with her, sharing stories of resilience and determination, emphasizing the importance of using one's voice, trusting others, and taking action when faced with challenges. Their presence was comforting yet empowering. It was a lesson in real-life courage and compassion, something that would stay with her long after that night ended. As the day came to a close, the girl finally felt a sense of normalcy. She had survived the immediate danger, learned how to protect herself, and experienced genuine care and guidance from two people she admired deeply. For the Rock and Cena, the night had reinforced an important truth. Influence and fame are meaningless without empathy and action. Their decision to respond to a single SOS had not only saved a life, but had created a ripple effect of hope, courage, and inspiration. As they prepared to leave for the night, the girl thanked them again, her voice full of gratitude. She realized that her story could inspire others, showing that reaching out for help is never a sign of weakness, and that genuine people exist who will act when it matters most. Both men offered her words of encouragement for the days ahead, assuring her that she had the strength to face any challenge, and that she would never have to face fear alone again. This day, filled with careful planning, compassion, and thoughtful action, had transformed more than just the girl's night of terror. It had reinforced the idea that bravery comes in many forms, that real-life heroes sometimes appear in the most unexpected ways, and that answering a call for help can create a lasting impact. For all involved, it was a lesson in humanity, courage, and the profound power of simply showing up when someone needs you the most. The girl's life was changing, and in that moment, hope, safety, and courage had returned to the forefront of her world, one step at a time. The following morning, the girl woke up feeling a strange mix of relief and uncertainty. The events of the past day weighed heavily on her mind, but she also felt a spark of hope she had not experienced in a long time. The safe location she had stayed in was quiet, peaceful, and free from the fear that had been her constant companion. The Rock and Cena had stayed nearby overnight, making sure she felt secure and supported. Their presence, though calm, brought her a deep sense of comfort. As breakfast was served, the men sat with her, engaging in casual conversation to ease her nerves. They asked about her interests, her school, her hobbies, and little by little the girl began to relax. She laughed at stories they shared about their early days, their struggles before fame, and funny incidents from filming movies or wrestling shows. These light-hearted moments were not just distractions. They were bridges, helping her reconnect with a world that had felt dangerous and untrustworthy just a day ago. After breakfast, the Rock and Cena spoke with her about the importance of rebuilding a sense of normalcy. They encouraged her to think about small routines that could make her feel safe, like organizing her room, making a list of people she could call when scared, or setting up a simple plan for what to do in an emergency. The girl listened intently, absorbing their guidance with quiet determination. It was the first time in a long while that she felt she had control over her life. Later in the morning, a team of security professionals arrived to discuss longer-term safety measures. The girl was nervous at first, unsure about letting strangers into her life again. But seeing the Rock and Cena calmly and confidently interact with the team reassured her. She realized that these men cared more about her well-being than anything else, and slowly she began to open up, asking questions about how to stay safe and what steps she could take to avoid danger in the future. While the safety team set up plans for her security, The Rock and Cena discussed how to help her regain her confidence emotionally. They knew that physical safety was only one part of the solution. The girl needed to feel strong, capable, and brave on the inside as well. They shared examples from their own lives when they had faced fear or challenges, explaining how courage often came from small, deliberate actions rather than grand gestures. Hearing their stories, the girl began to understand that bravery was something she could build within herself. As the day went on, they introduced activities to help the girl feel empowered. Simple things like practicing calm breathing, talking through scenarios, and role-playing ways to handle fear became tools she could carry with her. The men guided her patiently, letting her take the lead whenever she felt comfortable. Each small success, each moment of self-assurance, brought a smile to her face and a sense of accomplishment that had been missing for a long time. Around midday, the girl expressed a desire to check on her neighborhood from a safe distance. She wanted to see the place where she had felt trapped and frightened without putting herself in harm's way. The Rock and Cena arranged a short, careful visit, walking her through the area while keeping a watchful eye. She saw familiar streets and buildings that had once seemed threatening, but now with support she began to perceive them differently. It was a small but meaningful step in reclaiming her world. On their way back from the neighborhood, they talked about the importance of community. The girl had felt isolated, thinking that no one around her would notice or care about her distress. The men explained how reaching out, even in small ways, could connect her with support and help. They encouraged her to find trusted friends, teachers, or neighbors she could rely on, and to remember that asking for help is always a sign of strength, not weakness. She listened closely, taking mental notes and slowly believing that support could exist in her life beyond that single rescue. Back at the safe location, they organized a quiet afternoon session focused on mental health. A counselor spoke with the girl privately, guiding her to express her fears and experiences. The Rock and Cena observed, providing comfort from nearby. The girl spoke openly, describing the anxiety, the fear of being watched, and the overwhelming feeling that she had no control. The counselor validated her emotions while the men nodded silently, reinforcing that her feelings were real and understandable. It was a powerful moment of recognition, healing, and trust. Afterward, they took a break, sharing a simple snack together. The girl began to talk more freely, not just about the frightening events, but also about her dreams and aspirations. She shared her love for music, her curiosity about science, and her desire to one day help others who felt scared or powerless. The men listened attentively, encouraging her to pursue her passions, reminding her that courage and determination can turn fear into action. Each word of support strengthened her resolve and built a deeper connection between them. As the evening approached, they focused on practical steps for the next day. The girl would need to return home eventually, and it was important that she had a plan in place. The Rock and Cena helped her outline ways to stay safe, from letting trusted adults know her whereabouts to keeping important phone numbers handy. They also emphasized small acts of self-protection, like walking with confidence and being aware of surroundings, turning fear into proactive strategies. The girl felt empowered as the plan formed, realizing that she was learning skills that would serve her long after this crisis was over. During this time, the girl opened up about her feelings toward fame. She had always admired The Rock and Cena from a distance, but now she saw them as more than celebrities. They were human, kind, and willing to act when someone needed help. She asked how they managed to stay grounded despite the pressures of their careers. Both men shared honest reflections, talking about responsibility, empathy, and the importance of focusing on meaningful actions rather than public recognition. The conversation inspired the girl, showing her that real influence comes from helping others and being present when it counts. As night fell, they spent time reflecting on the day's progress. The girl had grown more confident, more relaxed, and more aware of her own strength. The Rock and Cena emphasized that recovery was ongoing and that setbacks were natural. They encouraged her to celebrate small victories, to recognize moments when she felt safe, and to continue reaching out for support whenever she needed it. The girl felt a newfound sense of agency, understanding that she was capable of navigating the world with courage and awareness. Before leaving her for the night, the men reassured her that she was not alone. They reminded her that help could come in many forms, and that even small actions could make a big difference. The girl went to bed feeling a combination of relief, hope, and determination. She had survived the immediate danger, and was beginning to reclaim her life with guidance, support, and newfound inner strength. The lessons she had learned today were not just about safety, they were about courage, trust, and the power of human connection. As they walked away from the temporary location, The Rock and Cena discussed the importance of turning this experience into something lasting. They wanted to ensure that her story could inspire others, showing that responding to someone's call for help can truly change lives. They reflected on the responsibility that comes with influence, realizing that their ability to act quickly and compassionately had created a ripple effect that extended far beyond a single rescue. By the end of the day, the girl had transformed from a frightened, isolated young person into someone beginning to understand her own strength. The Rock and Cena had not only provided physical safety, but had nurtured emotional resilience, teaching her to face challenges with courage and self-awareness. The day had been filled with careful guidance, practical planning, and genuine human connection, all designed to ensure she would continue moving forward with confidence. The lessons of this day would stay with the girl forever. She had learned that fear can be overcome with support, that reaching out is brave, and that kindness and action from others can create lasting change. For The Rock and Cena, the experience reinforced the power of empathy, the impact of stepping in when someone is in need, and the value of using their influence to make a tangible difference. Together, they had created a foundation for hope, courage, and growth that would continue to shape the girl's life in the days, weeks, and years to come. As the night deepened, the city outside remained quiet, unaware of the life-changing events that had unfolded in one small apartment and a temporary safe space. But inside, a young girl slept with a sense of security she had never known, and two men walked away quietly, knowing that their decision to answer a call for help had created a story of courage, humanity, and the real power of being present when someone needed them the most. The next day began quietly, with soft sunlight streaming through the windows of the temporary safe space. The girl woke up feeling stronger, more prepared, and ready to face the next steps of her journey. She knew that while the immediate danger was gone, life would not return to normal instantly. She needed guidance, reassurance, and a plan to gradually regain control of her world. The Rock and Cena were there, ready to help her navigate these steps, their calm presence providing a sense of stability she had not experienced in a long time. Over breakfast, they spoke gently about her goals and dreams. The conversation shifted from fear to possibility. She shared her love for art, her fascination with technology, and the small ambitions she had kept secret, thinking they were unreachable. The men encouraged her to embrace these dreams, reminding her that her courage to ask for help was the same courage she could use to pursue her goals. Their words were not grand speeches, but simple reminders that strength comes in many forms, and that she had already demonstrated remarkable bravery. After breakfast, The Rock and Cena arranged for her to meet with a local mentor who specialized in guiding young people through challenges and personal growth. The mentor was kind and patient, allowing the girl to express herself and explore ways to rebuild her confidence. The men stayed nearby, observing quietly and stepping in only when needed. Their focus was not on taking over, but on empowering her to make decisions, to feel capable of controlling her environment and her future. The morning passed with gentle activities designed to foster confidence and resilience. The girl practiced mindfulness exercises, learned practical strategies for dealing with fear, and engaged in simple exercises to reinforce her sense of self-worth. The Rock and Cena participated, making the exercises engaging and relatable. They shared stories of their own experiences overcoming fear and doubt, showing her that everyone, even those who seem strong and invincible, faces challenges and needs courage to navigate them. By midday, the girl began to ask more questions about the world outside the safe space. She wanted to understand how to protect herself, how to be aware of potential risks, and how to respond in emergencies. The men provided clear, simple guidance, emphasizing awareness and preparation over fear. They helped her develop a step-by-step plan for navigating public spaces safely, encouraging her to trust her instincts and seek help whenever necessary. Each piece of advice was practical, easy to follow, and empowering, helping her feel more in control. As they walked through the plan together, the girl began to visualize her life beyond fear. She imagined returning home, reconnecting with friends, and engaging in her hobbies without anxiety holding her back. The Rock and Cena reinforced this vision, explaining that taking small, deliberate steps builds confidence and resilience over time. Their words were not lectures but gentle encouragement, helping her see that the path forward was within her reach. In the afternoon, they focused on strengthening her support network. The men helped her identify trusted adults in her life, people she could rely on for guidance and safety. They emphasized the importance of communication and being open about her needs and concerns. The girl practiced reaching out, role-playing scenarios where she would ask for help or express fear. Each exercise boosted her confidence, and she began to feel that she was no longer alone in facing challenges. The Rock and Cena also took time to discuss online safety. They explained how to protect her privacy, recognize potential dangers on social media, and seek help if she ever felt threatened again. The girl listened intently, realizing that technology could be a tool for both risk and safety. With their guidance, she learned to navigate the digital world more confidently, understanding that asking for help is always the right choice. By late afternoon, the girl began to reflect on the events that had brought her to this point. She spoke about her fear, the moments of panic, and the uncertainty she had felt. The men listened quietly, validating her experiences and emphasizing that her reactions were normal and human. They highlighted the strength she had shown, reminding her that reaching out for help was a courageous act that demonstrated self-awareness and bravery. As evening approached, The Rock and Cena organized a small private session to discuss long-term plans. The girl would need to eventually return home, and it was essential that she felt confident in doing so. Together, they created a roadmap for her return, including steps to maintain safety, strategies for seeking support, and daily practices to build resilience. The plan was practical, empowering, and tailored to her needs, giving her a sense of direction and purpose. During this session, the girl asked questions about the men's experiences with fear and challenges. They shared personal stories, emphasizing that everyone faces obstacles and courage often comes from persistence, preparation, and the willingness to ask for help. Their honesty and relatability resonated with her, reinforcing the lesson that strength is built through experience and support, not through avoiding fear. Afterward, they spent time engaging in light activities to foster creativity and relaxation. The girl drew, wrote, and shared her ideas, while the men encouraged her to explore her imagination freely. These activities were more than entertainment. They were tools for self-expression and healing, helping her reconnect with her sense of identity and joy. The atmosphere was calm, supportive, and empowering, allowing her to process her emotions in a safe environment. As night fell, the girl began to feel a sense of accomplishment. She had learned practical safety measures, built emotional resilience, and developed strategies for navigating her world with confidence. The Rock and Cena provided guidance, reassurance, and encouragement throughout the day, helping her transform fear into empowerment. She realized that her life was no longer defined by the events of the previous night, but by the strength and courage she had demonstrated in responding to them. Before leaving for the night, the men sat with her one last time, reflecting on the day's progress. They emphasized that recovery is a journey, not a single event, and that setbacks are natural. They encouraged her to celebrate her victories, however small, and to continue practicing the skills she had learned. The girl felt a deep sense of gratitude and hope, understanding that she had the tools and support to face her future with confidence. As they walked away, The Rock and Cena discussed the importance of sharing lessons learned from this experience. They wanted the girl's story to inspire others, showing that reaching out for help is brave, that support is available, and that compassion and action can make a real difference. They reflected on the power of presence, empathy, and timely intervention, understanding that their decision to act had created a ripple effect of courage and hope. By the end of the day, the girl had grown stronger, more confident, and more aware of her own capabilities. She had not only survived a frightening situation, but had also learned to navigate the world with awareness, resilience, and self-assurance. The Rock and Cena had provided guidance, support, and mentorship, helping her transform fear into action and uncertainty into hope. The lessons of the day were clear. Courage comes in many forms, Help is available when needed, and small deliberate steps can lead to lasting change. The girl understood that she was capable, resilient, and supported, and that her future was filled with possibilities. For The Rock and Cena, the day reinforced the profound impact of responding to someone's call for help, demonstrating that influence, compassion, and action can create meaningful change in the lives of others. As the city outside grew quiet, the girl settled into a peaceful sleep, feeling safe, empowered, and ready for the challenges and opportunities that lay ahead. The Rock and Cena had guided her through a crucial stage of recovery, helping her reclaim her life and rebuild her confidence. This day would remain a turning point, marking the moment when fear gave way to courage, and despair was replaced by hope, strength, and the knowledge that she was never truly alone. The following morning, a sense of calm filled the safe space as the girl woke up feeling prepared for the next chapter of her journey. Over the past few days, she had learned to navigate fear, trust and support, and rebuild confidence step by step. The Rock and Cena had been patient guides throughout, not just ensuring her physical safety, but helping her find her voice and strength again. Today, they focused on preparing her for a return to a more normal life, while ensuring that she felt empowered every step of the way. Breakfast was calm and simple. The girl shared her thoughts and feelings from the past days, reflecting on how far she had come. She was beginning to understand that the events she had experienced did not define her. Instead, her responses and courage were what mattered most. The Rock and Cena listened, offering encouragement and gentle reminders that the strength she had shown was remarkable. They emphasized that moving forward would involve gradual steps, but with support and careful planning, she could regain her independence without fear. After breakfast, they began organizing a plan for her eventual return home. The men had already coordinated with local authorities and safety experts to ensure that her home environment would be secure. They discussed the importance of having trusted adults nearby, safe routes, and clear communication channels. The girl was encouraged to take part in planning, making decisions where she felt comfortable. This approach allowed her to reclaim control over her life, reinforcing that her safety and empowerment were priorities. To strengthen her confidence, they organized small exercises to practice problem-solving and quick thinking. Scenarios were presented gently, such as what to do if she felt unsafe in public or needed assistance while alone. The girl responded with growing assurance, realizing that she could think clearly and act responsibly. The Rock and Cena praised her efforts, emphasizing that courage is often built through preparation and practice, rather than the absence of fear. In the afternoon, they focused on emotional resilience. A counselor joined them to guide discussions about feelings, fears, and strategies for coping with stress. The girl spoke freely, expressing the lingering anxiety she felt despite the progress she had made. The counselor and the two men validated her emotions, explaining that healing is a process that takes time and that setbacks are normal. The girl felt reassured, knowing that it was acceptable to feel nervous as she continued to rebuild her confidence. They also explored creative activities to reinforce her sense of identity and joy. She drew, wrote, and shared ideas for projects she wanted to pursue in the future. The Rock and Cena participated, encouraging her creativity and showing interest in her passions. These activities were more than just entertainment. They were tools for self-expression, helping the girl reconnect with a sense of control, accomplishment, and joy. Each shared moment strengthened her trust in her support network and reinforced her belief in her own abilities. Later, they took a careful walk outside, exploring nearby areas while maintaining a safe distance from potential threats. The girl observed the world with new eyes, aware but not fearful. She practiced awareness techniques and learned to interpret her surroundings confidently. The Rock and Cena guided her patiently, reinforcing that safety is about preparation, attention, and trusting one's instincts. Each step she took outside the safe space became a metaphor for reclaiming her independence and agency. During the walk, they spoke about the power of community and the importance of reaching out to others. The girl reflected on her previous feelings of isolation and realized that support exists when one is willing to ask for it. The men shared stories about people who had helped them in their lives and explained that small actions of kindness could make a big difference. The girl began to understand that courage and compassion are interconnected, and that her own experiences could inspire others in the future. Returning to the safe space, They discussed practical strategies for maintaining safety and emotional balance at home. The girl was encouraged to create a personal plan, identifying people she could trust, safe spaces, and routines to keep herself secure. They also discussed how to manage anxiety, recognize warning signs, and seek help quickly when needed. These steps empowered the girl to feel in control, turning fear into proactive strategies and building confidence in her ability to navigate the world safely. As evening approached, The Rock and Cena emphasized the importance of reflection. They encouraged the girl to think about her progress, the lessons she had learned, and the ways in which she had grown. She realized that the fear she had experienced did not diminish her strength. Instead, it highlighted the courage she had demonstrated in asking for help and taking action. The men reminded her that every small step forward was a victory, reinforcing her sense of self-worth and resilience. Dinner was calm and conversational. The girl shared her hopes for the future, discussing her interests and ambitions with renewed confidence. The Rock and Cena offered guidance and encouragement, emphasizing that the courage she had shown could be applied to her goals and dreams. They spoke about perseverance, the value of learning from experiences, and the importance of believing in oneself. The girl absorbed these lessons, feeling empowered and ready to take on the next chapter of her life. Later, they spent time preparing for a gradual reintegration into her home and daily life. The men coordinated with local authorities, family, and support networks to ensure a smooth transition. The girl was involved in every step, making decisions about her comfort and safety. This approach reinforced her sense of agency and control, helping her understand that her voice mattered and that she could actively shape her own environment. As the night deepened, The Rock and Cena reflected with the girl on the journey she had taken over the past days. They emphasized the importance of courage, empathy, and taking action when someone is in need. The girl realized that she had not only survived a frightening experience, but had learned valuable lessons about herself, her strengths, and the power of support. The men's guidance had transformed fear into empowerment, creating a foundation for continued growth and resilience. Before leaving for the night, they reminded her that help is always available, and that reaching out is a sign of strength. The girl felt a deep sense of gratitude and confidence. She understood that she was capable of navigating challenges, seeking support when necessary, and continuing to build her life with courage and determination. The Rock and Cena's presence had provided not just safety but mentorship, guidance, and a model of empathy and action that she would carry with her forever. As they walked away, they discussed the broader impact of the experience. They hoped that the girl's story could inspire others, demonstrating that reaching out for help is brave, that support exists, and that compassionate action can change lives. They reflected on the responsibility that comes with influence and the power of being present when someone needs help. Their actions had created a ripple effect of hope, courage, and empowerment that extended far beyond a single rescue. By the end of the day, the girl had transformed. She was no longer defined by fear or the traumatic events of the past days. Instead, she was defined by her courage, resilience, and the strength she had shown in seeking help and reclaiming control of her life. The Rock and Cena had guided her through this critical stage, providing practical tools, emotional support, and mentorship. The lessons she had learned would continue to shape her decisions, confidence, and approach to life in the years to come. As the city outside grew quiet, the girl prepared for sleep with a sense of peace, security, and hope. She had faced her fears, received guidance and support, and discovered her own strength. The Rock and Cena had helped her transform a moment of crisis into a journey of empowerment, resilience, and growth. This experience had not only changed her life, but had demonstrated the profound impact of empathy, courage, and action when someone's call for help is answered. It was a story of real human connection, heroism, and the enduring power of support, one that would remain with her forever.